This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, along with fellow Manchild, Johnny Karlic. And we are back for another edition of the Rick and Johnny podcast right here on Most Valuable Podcast. And if you're wondering yourself, Ricky, I'm here for the first time. What is the Rick and Johnny podcast? Well, this is the podcast on MVP where we talk, Johnny with Alzheimer's. I have to remind him every single week what this thing's about, but we talk about
short-term memory loss. Thank you.
Movies, TV shows, superheroes, video games at sometimes when it deems fit for the show. Is there anything I'm missing? Superheroes, TV, movies, Star Wars, basically Disney. Anything under the two nerdy sons. There's honestly your cue for that. But we got a jam-packed show for you guys. Before I get into everything, though, make sure to check us out on patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. If you want to be like guys like Retro, if you want to be like Jake, John, Eric, Matt, Pat, I'm trying to think of we have so many patrons. Soapy, and of course I'm missing some patrons in there. If I missed your name, we still love you. We love all of our patrons. For as low as $1, you can get access to our Discord servers. Johnny, I do this each and every time now. I look at our Discord server and I give the people, the masses, a little bit of something of what they are missing. And the latest conversation that we had was Jake posted how apparently when it comes to sports, 2019 is just a reboot of 2020 of 2005 because Liverpool won, Tiger Woods won, the Patriots won, LeBron James missed the playoffs, and Triple H and Batista hosted WrestleMania in both 2019 and 2005. So we're living our best
sports.
We're living our best 2005 life here. Soapy actually asked about Last of Us and was talking a little bit about Wolverine.
Oh, there we go. See, that's something I can talk about.
It's really a hodgepodge of anything you want to talk about. So you can get access to the Discord server for as low as $1. You can also join a podcast for as high as $10, where you join a podcast and talk about the topic you would like to talk about each and every month. But Johnny, let's get into everything we're talking about. It's really an MCU/Marvel entire podcast where we're talking about the Eternals because Keanu Reeves is being targeted for that movie. We're going to be talking about Spider-Man and Deadpool. There's a possibility Deadpool could be introduced in a Spider-Man movie. And then we're taking a look at the Marvel Avengers video game that we have got information for, and we are going to get footage for from Square Enix at E3. That's going to be our Too Old the Game crossover, but I will tell you about Too Old the Game later. Let's jump in to the first bit of news on the podcast, and that is Keanu Reeves. And Keanu Reeves just was in John Wick Chapter 3. And it is thrown out there that he is being looked at so according to MCU Cosmic, Keanu Reeves is currently in talks to join the cast of The Eternals. This is the movie that's going to be directed by Chloe Zhao. He will also join Angelina Jolie, Kumail Nanjiani, hope I got that name right, and then Richard Madden in the upcoming Marvel film. This is a Marvel film, obviously, that Kevin Feige has been very excited about. As he has said, your reaction about not being familiar with the Eternals is perfect because most people weren't familiar with Guardians of the Galaxy, and believe it or not, there were people that were not familiar with the Avengers or with Iron Man. So for us, it's finding great stories, whether people have heard of them or not, and bring them to the big screen in as amazing a way as we can. And Johnny, I fit entirely into that when it comes to the Eternals, where I didn't even know what the Eternals were until they kind of mentioned it during Guardians of the Galaxy. We saw that big purple Eternal with the hammer, put his fist down or his hammer down and blew everything up. Thanos, I believe, is an Eternal.
Yep.
So
at least in the comics, yeah.
I will ask you, because you are the kind of Marvel resident here. I don't even know as a Marvel guy if you're super familiar with the Eternals.
I'm not.
What do you think Do you have any idea in your head of what Keanu Reeves' role in this movie could be? Because
not a huge one, to be honest.
I forgot to
article.
also throw out that according to We Got This Covered, they threw out that he's probably going to be playing a villain role in the movie.
I know one of them you and I were looking at just for Mephisto, possibly. I thought that was more of a Celestial thing, but maybe it's in Eternals?
Yeah, and I mean...
I'm about to look for that now.
That was the first thing I kind of thought of, because I was kind of searching, and of course, before this news kind of broke this week, there were people already kind of being like, comicbook.com had he could be Adam Warlock, he could be Johnny Blaze. They throw Nova out for him, Silver Surfer out, and then Nightmare and Mephisto. And for me, the Mephisto one kind of sits there and goes, that one might fit, because the thing that I was thinking of is when we read not Infinity War, it was Infinity Gauntlet, was the name of that story.
I mean, yeah, he is kind of backhandedly going against Thanos.
Where he deals with Thanos in that one at the very beginning. I wonder if that could be the role that he is playing, but also, like you mentioned, he can't be a good Nightmare, but like I threw out to you, would they use Nightmare in the Eternals movie?
He's more of a Doctor Strange villain, yeah.
And they've got Doctor Strange 2 coming up. I know that I think it's Mordo is already going to be kind of the villain in that, but Marvel likes to spin the two villain thing in most of their movies.
I mean, sometimes, yeah, and so, you gotta have someone for him to go up against for at least part of it. You can't just have it all like, hey, save it for all the end. No.
Yeah.
Like you had Dormammu as the big one, and you had Caecilius as the one that you kind of hit throughout the movie. Because you don't want to use your big baddie right in the beginning. It's like, where's the rest of the movie go?
Or it's like, even like, think of Black Panther. You've had Ulysses Claw, and then boom, that went into Black Panther. Or not Black Panther, Killmonger.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you had, boom, two in there. I look at even Ant-Man, kind of, where, like, look at Ant-Man 2. Ghost was one, and then we had the kind of bigger baddie kind of at the end, because, like, she's the pawn in all this. She's the pawn for the main kind of bad guy that's using her to get what she wants.
No, he wasn't really a bad guy. He was just trying to help her, and then...
Well, still, it was for evil intentions.
That one was kind of cool. No, his was like, I need to, in order to help you need to do this, and then he kind of like started growing a conscience again of, you can't be hurting people to do it.
Yeah.
What that was kind of like a back and forth between two like villains, because you had like the one that he was just a criminal, but he was like a head of an criminal organization, and you had Ghost.
We're talking about the guy that met with Wasp.
Yeah.
In kind of like that meeting where
they're kind of like ebbing and flowing back and forth in villain stuff. So that was more of a play back and forth, whereas like another one for yours was the Mandarin and Kevin's in
Iron Man 3.
Aldrich Killian.
Yes.
Whereas you sort of the same. It's like, hey, you're going after the Mandarin who doesn't actually exist.
But AIM is our biggest.
AIM is the big one, yeah. AIM and
I'm trying to think of other recent ones. I mean, there's numerous ones that have probably.
Whiplash. This is going back. Whiplash and Justin Hammer. There's another one like that.
Did Captain Marvel technically have two? Yeah.
It had kind of a how do you describe it?
A twist.
A twist one.
They wanted you to think Ben Mendelsohne's character
and
was
the Skrulls were villains.
But then it was really Jude Law's character and Jan Rod.
Exactly. It was the same kind of concept, just kind of a twist of, we're not the villains, we're just trying to get home. Or a home. And
I wonder if that's even a possibility in this, where, let's say, like, when we say villainous character, is Keanu Reeves, and I'm not even going to throw out like, it's this character exactly, but what if it's like, he's playing the villain, where it's like, this is an Eternal that I think we've mentioned this before on a past podcast, where maybe it's like an Eternal that has gone against the Eternals, and then later in the movie kind of has that like change of heart, and it was like, hey, I'm on the wrong side, this wasn't right, and now we have to kind of fix this problem, facing off against an ultimate baddie.
I was looking it up because you bring up the Eternals, like, okay, I gotta figure out what the hell we're talking about. I didn't get a bunch of time to read into it, but there's Eternals of Earth, there's Eternals of Uranus.
Uranus.
Yes, Uranus.
And
then Eternals of Titan. And then there's Alien Eternals, which is like, there's one for the Kree, there's one for the Skrulls, and blah, 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 blah. And no one gives a shit.
The Eternals of Titan is Thanos, basically.
Thanos, his father, Star Fox. There's one that's, and I'm probably going to say this wrong, Demetyr.
Okay.
Demetyr.
Your guess is as good as mine on that one.
Yeah, Thanos. Surprised his brother's not part of it because it's saying his mom is too. Susan. Mentor his father, or Alars. And then Thanos is one. And then Star Fox is a child of Mentor and... Oh, I guess younger brother of Thanos. So it is. Okay. I'm like, I know it said his younger brother was. Why can't I find him? Oh, here it is. Okay, Eros. It's codename Star Fox type thing. But then there's the ones of Earth. The one that I found as I was reading through, and I heard about this name before.
And the thing I'm going to throw out before you say that is apparently the only person we know who they're playing is Angelina Jolie, where she is going to be Cersei, not Cersei from Game of Thrones. It's spelled different too. And Cersei is a 4th generation member of the Eternals. She is an evolutionary offshoot of the human race. She's the daughter of Helios and Perse, and was probably born in Olympia, Greece. So the thing I was just going to throw out with that is she's probably going to be what you talked about with the Eternal of Earth.
So I wonder if we're just going to get Eternals of Earth then? Or, because there's like... I know I was reading it earlier. There's between the Uranus and Titan, and I don't know how many of the ones of Earth were part of this. There's actually a war that happened between them.
And we could get that war.
We could get that war, which Thanos was actually kind of a part of at one point. But then they'd have to change up the whole kind of storyline between that because they said they destroyed part of Titan, unless that's what all in all destroys Titan, and they go back to someone like that. I don't know. They would kind of contradict the story of what happened in Titan. Yeah. If you ask me. Unless that's why Titan's so far off its axis is because of a war. Maybe. We don't know. He described it as one thing.
And plus, let's put it this way, and I know people have thrown this out before. Yeah. Of Thanos is a villain. How much can you trust a villain?
That's true.
And that's the thing with Thanos' story is... He believed he was doing the right thing.
In his own mind, which makes him a perfect villain.
And I know about me, and this is a human trait that we have, and I know Thanos ain't human, but, like, I have this too, is, like, when you want to justify that you're doing the right thing, you'll kind of maybe bend the truth a little bit. Yeah. To try to have it fit your plan and what you believe is right.
I mean, the one thing that was kind of consistent throughout is they always say Thanos doesn't lie, which is like, yeah, you do kind of bend the truth in your head to fit, like, if you think you're right to do it. So, I mean, that's not an impossibility. But yeah, I mean, that would be one to go about. And there's something, I think it goes along with that war is called, Dragon of the Moon or something, but here's one that I was finding that was an interesting, and it actually could play throughout, and I could see Keanu Reeves, especially with how he looks today, playing it. So the Forgotten One. Okay. You and I have talked about that a little bit before.
A little bit, yeah.
So I'll just read. This is the Marvel Wiki list of Eternals. I'm just gonna read verbatim what it says about him. The Forgotten One has developed a superhuman strength and durability to a far greater degree than the norm of Eternals. Later joined the superheroic Avengers. His true name is not known. Over the centuries, he has been mistaken for Samson, Beowulf, Gilgamesh, Hercules, and Atlas. He has learned to rope from Buffalo Bill Cody, fought alongside Achilles in the Trojan War, fought with King David in Judah, and helped Anisus in the travels following the Trojan War. He was also responsible for cleaning the Aegean stables rather than Hercules, befriended the interloper, but otherwise has lived mainly in solitude from the Eternals. Was captured by a being claiming to be Kang and forced to train his I need to get glasses. Anachronauts. Aged rapidly after he escaped, King Immortus then sent his anachronauts an anachronaut named Newt to slay him at the Avengers Mansion in 2009 series. He is living as a circus strongman who is manipulated by Druig into attacking the other Eternals. Druig is another Eternal as well, if I can find him. Son of Vulcan, cousin of Icarus, sometimes known as Druig of Nightmares.
Spell Icarus really quick for me.
Icarus is Ikaris.
Okay. The reason why I had you stop there
He's also an Eternal.
He is right now Richard Madden, who played Robb Stark in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
That is the character he's rumored to be playing.
Okay.
So Richard Madden is rumored to play
What,
Icarus.
I just threw in 3 Eternals already?
Yeah, because the only ones we know about is Angelina Jolie is put down to play Cersei, who is a 4th generation Eternal, an offshoot of the human race. And then Icarus is rumored to be Richard Madden, which he is a 3rd generation Eternal, and is also an offshoot of the human race. So there's a part of me that's maybe thinking more so of what you said of, hey, maybe we're getting a kind of, let's have it here based on Earth, with the race of immortals, beings who lived on Earth and shaped, right here, storyline on IMDb, and this is grain of salt because it's IMDb, the saga of the Eternals, a race of immortals, beings who lived on Earth and shaped its history and civilization.
And it could all just be mostly based in the Greek mythology area, because there's a bunch of them that are like, hey, mistaken to be... Phastos was mistaken as the Greek god Hephaestus, and so on and so forth. There's a bunch of them that are mistaken to be Greek gods because they don't age for long periods of time. They're eternal, blah, blah, blah. They're super strong, everything. Yeah. Like I said, the Forgotten One was mistaken as 4 people from mythology. So, I mean...
And that's the one thing with this movie where I'm intrigued for it because I don't know. It's kind of like that feeling that Kevin Feige kind of mentioned in the quote I read, where not many people, like, think back to when Iron Man came out.
I didn't really know Iron Man that well.
I didn't either. Like, the only thing that I knew really much about Iron Man was I knew that he had a suit that he flew in, but mainly my main source of Iron Man was, am Iron Man. Basically, 90s guitar riff.
Yeah.
But, like, if you think about our childhood up until, I would say, Iron Man, that movie, if you asked any person which kind of company is dominating, I would say DC dominated. Everyone knew who Batman was, how big, like, how many Batman movies we had, like, how many Superman movies that we had. Like, DC kind of ruled the day.
DC dominated, but you also had
until the birth of the MCU.
Let's not forget that there was DC dominated, and then it's like, oh, well, what, if you could actually determine Marvel, it's like, what Marvel characters, Spider-Man, the X-Men.
Bingo.
We really didn't have anything much from the Avengers, because
And I know people older than us, basically from 80s, like 60s, 70s, 80s, will probably say, well, no, Marvel was big. Yeah, Marvel was probably big comic-wise before the 90s.
Yeah.
But, like, we're talking, like, when I'm saying, like,
kid, when we didn't have
TV,
huge access to comic books.
Bingo. Well,
as kids.
Plus the medium was changing. Where
that's true.
Back then, like 70s, 80s, yeah, you still had TV series, but it's not like every house didn't have multiple TVs. You had one TV, and who knew if you were going to be able to watch what you wanted to watch.
Some people didn't even have those channels.
Exactly. So, I mean, like, when we grew up, when I was a little kid, we had not as many as we have now, but we had a TV in the kitchen, a TV in the living room, And that's it. So we had 2 TVs right there. And then now, like this time, we've got a TV, like at the time, TV when my sister lived with us in her room, TV in the kitchen, TV in the living area, TV in my room, TV in a second living area in a second part of the house. It's like 4 or 5 TVs in one house compared to, 20, 30 years ago when it was like maybe 2 TVs in the 90s?
2, maybe 3 TVs in the house. Until finally, like, sometime late 90s, early 2000s, where I got a hand-me-down TV.
And basically that was for, I had cable hooked up to it.
I had gaming.
But it was video games, basically.
Because I'll get video games because I had the rabbit ears.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have cable for it. There's a time in my house we didn't even have cable.
Yeah.
So you got all the basic channels.
Basically.
Thank you, rabbit ears, for that one.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, it was a different time. So, I mean... With this, though, the thing that I'm excited for is to go in with that feeling that I had with Iron Man of, like, I don't know what to expect
like you say,
from these guys.
Not just Iron Man, but Guardians. Like, I've never heard, Marvel fan, I never heard of the Guardians, or I heard of their name, but that was it. I knew nothing about them.
The only thing, and the only reason I had a pre-knowledge of the Guardians going into that first movie was because Mark and I read a Guardians comic for a graphic conversation leading up to it. So, like, that one graphic novel we read, the only, like,
Guardians knowledge
little bit of Guardians knowledge. And that's why that first movie, I left a little bit disappointed. Like, man, where's Cosmos? I liked Cosmos from the comic I read.
Cosmo the Wonder Dog?
Cosmo, yeah. And then we saw him in the second film, so I was all happy. I was like, there's Cosmo. Well, actually, at the end of that one, didn't we?
We saw him in part of...
Was that the first one?
The first one,
That's right. Then it was an opposite. I was excited about it because I really knew who Cosmo was. Because he was a big
He's
part
in the
of
MCU,
He
just
was a big
not part of the team.
of that graphic novel, because in the graphic novel, he was kind of like their Nick Fury-esque leader.
Yeah.
Where he gave them the orders of what to do and where to go, and then Star-Lord was... It was Star-Lord and Adam Warlock were the leaders of the Guardians in that story.
Just to remind you, the scene he was in was the very
Howard
end.
the Duck.
Howard the Duck. Why are you letting him lick you?
Why are you letting him lick you like that?
That's disgusting.
But yeah, any final thoughts that you have about the Eternals?
No, I'm kind of going to lean towards it's going to be a more on-Earth one. Maybe like kind of it may be strictly based in the Greek mythos. It may not. There's probably many storylines that you and I don't know about with this, because this is just just like a Guardians, just like 2008 Iron Man. We don't have a lot going in. We could look it up, or I could just wait for the surprise. I might do a little bit of research just so I'm a little bit better prepared for this movie.
Let's be honest. It's kind of hard for us to go in completely bare.
I know.
Because we have a podcast about it. So
I know. I'm going to be doing a little bit of research. I don't know if I'm going to go as far as going in getting the comics, because I want to go in fresh.
Well, I mean, usually if there's news that comes out, we're probably going to talk about it here.
Oh, I'm just saying, I want to go in semi-fresh, so I may just avoid the comics at least.
So the one thing I do want to throw out there, and this is for my anime fans, you know who, and this is basically a John Wick typecast, you know who Keanu Reeves would be perfect for look-wise? Eraserhead from My Hero.
Yeah.
Is it...
Aizawa.
Oh, Aizawa?
Yeah, no, I think he would make a good Aizawa if they wanted to make a live action.
I think he could basically do the personality of him as well. Kind of like, kind of low down, low excitement, kind of. Like he's already got the Keanu Reeves
already
face.
Serious.
Yeah, basically. So that's a thought I had during this, was that he could be Aizawa.
If they decide to make a live action, I hope they actually like put the money into it and don't make it like all the other live action animes.
And then I started thinking, well, who would be All Might? And that just kind of... That's
a topic for another time.
It's going down a rabbit hole that we don't need to get to right now. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Number 1, are you guys excited about the Eternals? And then number 2, what do you think Keanu Reeves' role is going to be in this movie?